Shalom, Gabe Greenberg here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Excited to learn with you today, Parsha Vayetze, the very beginning of the Parsha, Genesis chapter 28. We'll look at verses 10 and 11. Vayetze Yaakov mi Be'ersheva vayelech Harana. Yaakov, Jacob, left Beersheva, and he goes to the town of Haran. On the way, next line, Vayifka b'makom. He encounters the place. The rabbis, as rabbinic tradition tell us, the place is Har HaMoriah, the Temple Mount, what's about to unfold here. Vayifka b'makom vayalen sham kiva hashemesh. He slept there because the sun had come and gone. Vayikach me'avnei makom. He took from the rocks of the place. Vayasem merashotav. Put them under his head. Vayishkav b'makom hahu. And he slept in that place. He'll have the famous dream where he apprehends the ladder stretching from the earth to the heavens and the angels ascending and descending. But we're going to be interested in a midrash that's brought on the first part of that verse, Vayifga b'makom, that he encountered the place. He gets to a place at night and goes to sleep. The Talmud in Tractate Brachot, Masechet Brachot, Daf Kaf Vav Amud Bet 26b says as follows: Tanya, Yaakov tikein tfilat arvit. Yaakov, Jacob is responsible for or instituted the Arvit, the Mariv evening prayer, quoting from our verse, Shenem Arviv Gabamakom Vayalan Sham, that he encountered the place and slept there, Kiva Hashemesh, because the sun had gone. And that word, the rabbis will pick up in the midrash on the opening verb, Vayifga, he encountered. Says the midrash, Ein Pigya Elat Tfilah, that the word Pigya, an encounter, is synonymous for prayer. And what's the proof? The proof is taken from a separate verse in Jeremiah chapter 7, where God says to Yirmiyah, Jeremiah the prophet, Ve'ata, you Jeremiah, al titpalel ba'ad ha'am hazeh, do not daven on behalf of this people. Ve'al tisa ba'adam rina utfilah, don't lift up on their behalf a cry or a song. Ve'al tifga bi, and don't encounter me, don't entreat me, the Art Scroll translates here. So the two verbs of prayer and pigia, entreating, seem to be juxtaposed here to indicate that vayifga is also about prayer. So using this line in Jeremiah and juxtaposing it to our verse here in Parshat Vayetze, the rabbis determine that this pigia that Yaakov does, this encountering, which happens at night, Ki Bahashemesh, the sun had gone, so that's why Jacob is going to sleep. Jacob has an encounter with the divine, some prayerful encounter at night. The rabbis say that is the institution of Mariv, the evening prayer. This comes from a broader Gemara, which has two major opinions. One opinion, not like this, says that all of the prayer services were instituted to correspond to the different services in the temple in Jerusalem, the different sacrificial services, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one at night. There's another opinion, where this is taken from, that says, rather, that the three prayer services are modeled after the Avot, the three patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and this would be the third, that of Yaakov, who instituted according to this Mariv. So that's the Gemara, that's the text in the Torah, that's the Gemara. Now let's see what the Torah Temimah does with that. He has a question. Ma tekaimelan tfilat arvit reshut. He notes that elsewhere in the Talmud of Masechet Brachot, it says of Mariv, the third final of the day, evening prayer, is optional, as opposed to the first two of the day, which are necessary and required. Here, Mariv, Arvit, is determined by the Gemara to be reshut, to be optional. Now, what that means for the present day, for observant Jews, is a discussion for another time. But for his purposes here, he says, Lo nitba'er yafeh hatam. The reason for Mariv being optional isn't explained well in the Gemara. They don't really give the reason. So he's going to try to suggest a reason. Nira lomar bezeh. I think we could say about this, al pima de kaimelan be'eruvin samachay amad aleph, in accordance to what is written in another tractate Eruvin, haba b'derech umin haderech al yitpalel shnei yamim mishum she'efshar lechavein betfilah. The Gemara over there has a ruling, which is that someone who is going on a journey, who has just returned from a journey, 2 days on either side, need not pray. Why? Because it would be impossible for them to properly harness their kavanah, their intention. They're worked up about the journey they just came home from or are going on, so they don't have to pray. He says, V'im kein Medina, Haya Yaakov patur melihit palel. Who does this apply? Who could this apply to? That ruling in Eruvin, Yaakov, Jacob, who the one verse says he just was on a journey, and now the next verse says he has this pigia, this prayerful experience, according to the midrash. So they say, hey, Torah Temimah, Rabbi Baruch Epstein says, apply this ruling to the case of Jacob, and it all starts to make sense. Ma shehit palel hayat filat rashut. That which Jacob prayed in this phrase, vayifga b'makom, was optional. Ulechein nikba'a rashut gam ledorot. And therefore, he instituted this type of prayer, and the aspect of it as well, that it's optional, that too was instituted for all generations to come. Very interesting idea by the Torah Temimah, that the nature of Mariv is being reshut, being optional, the evening prayer being optional, is itself stems from the very roots of Mariv as instituted or begun or required by Jacob, who himself, that was an optional prayer that he participated in. Now the Torah Temimah will add a couple of lines about a sort of subsidiary problem, which is why is it that given that we count the day in the Jewish calendar starting in the evening, based, he says, on verses like Vayhi Erev, Vayhi Voker, it was the evening, it was the morning. So wouldn't it be that the first of the patriarchs, Avraham, starts the first in the three prayer services of the day, which are Mariv, Shacharit, and Mincha? That could be what we would intuitively expect, but that's not what happens. So the Torah Temimah wants to bring our Torah here as a further proof. And he says, V'zulat zeh, and if this were not so, im hayta chova haya mitzkane Avraham, were Mariv obligatory, then certainly Avraham would have instituted it. Kevan tehi rishona letfilot hame'et le'et, because, as I said, Mariv is the first of the prayers in the 24-hour cycle beginning in the evening. K'moshe kasuv vayhi erev vayvoker, it was evening, it was morning. Va'avraham haya rishon la'avot, and because Abraham was the first of the patriarchs, v'tikein tefillah rishona, he would have instituted the first of them, elavadai shehi reshut, but because Mariv was reshut, we weren't going to start with that one. We'd start with the first obligatory one, v'nechshavat tefillat shacharit rishona, and that's why we count shacharit as the first, v'tikna Avraham, and Avraham instituted that. Very nice. The Torah Temimah solves a couple of problems together. One, why is it that Avraham started Shacharit and not Mariv, the morning prayer, not the evening prayer, given the cycle that the Jewish calendar follows? And also, why would it be at all that Mariv would be Reshut? And he uses the answer to the latter to solve the former. Very beautiful. I myself will now go to Daven Mariv, and I look forward to learning more with you again next week.